Well, this is something new. Hey guys, my name is Tyler. I run the Redbird Farmhands page. You guys have probably seen that on Twitter if you're listening to this, because it's probably where you get the link to this. I've been doing a lot of tweeting lately, a lot of stuff around the farm system for the Cardinals, and yeah. So today I'm doing something new. I'm trying something new. This audio thing is going to be interesting. I don't have very many editing skills, so we're just going to keep going. Um, yeah, so I guess we're going to start with the Major League Club because that's what people like to hear about. And I'll start with the bullpen issues. Obviously, Ryan Fernandez has not been good. Jojo Romero has not been good. John King has not been good. Bernie Miklasz put up a stat, and I think it's a 1.99 ERA for the big four. That's Matz, Leahy, Maton, and Helsley. Besides that, it's an ERA above 9 for the rest of them. So why is Chris Roycroft struggled, obviously, and they sent him down. Don't understand why Ryan Fernandez wasn't sent down almost the same time or something similar. He should be sent down. Hopefully, we get that move on Friday. But I'm going to talk about why Ryan Fernandez is struggling. He's been struggling mainly because the slider's not there. It's lost some break on it, and obviously, when it's lost some break on it, he's trying to put it in the same spot when it had the same amount of break, and it's just sitting up in the zone, which is a big problem for him. So when it comes to that, it's just like you got to get the break back. He's got to get the confidence back. He doesn't look like a confident guy on the mound right now, and yeah. So that's pretty much that's pretty explained pretty simply there that he just doesn't have it right now. Probably should send down to Memphis. Memphis obviously fixed Chris Roycroft, which they did. They got all that movement back on the sinker for Roycroft. It's a guy who probably should get called up here when they call someone up on Friday. I'd assume for Ryan Fernandez and probably Matt Swanson, since Ollie seems to be allergic to him and not want to use him, which is probably rightfully so. Matt Swanson wasn't ready for the major leagues. He was called up last minute because it was a desperation move because Matz was going to be pitching that day. Munoz had been used 2 days in a row, and then they just needed someone to cover innings because Matz was on that 75 pitch count. So another thing I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, people have been asking is how can the MLB coaches not fix these guys, but the AAA coaches can? And I think there's two simple reasons why you saw Chris Roycroft get fixed. One, there's less pressure. When you're in the major leagues, there's a lot of pressure. Obviously, we all know that. With less pressure down AAA. But the other thing is they just have time. Memphis has 11 relievers, not like the bullpen right now where you have 7 at the major league level. So you can kind of give a guy a day off, give a guy a bullpen day, especially a guy who's going to be in the bullpen. You can give them a day to kind of work on the stuff, and you can kind of let them be down for 3 or 4 days because you have that 11 people in the bullpen. So that's one. That's like probably the main reason why you see Roycroft get fixed, not at the major league level, is because the major league coaches, the major league pitching coach staff with Dusty Blake and all those guys, they don't have time. They got to constantly be working with the starters, and they don't have the relief core. They cannot do like a bullpen during the season, or not very often, just because of the fact that they're going to be pitching every day. So it's hard to fix issues when you can't just when you can't just have that time to fix the issue. If that makes any sense, it's like, yeah, this guy's going to come up. He's got to pitch every other day, probably, or at least every 3 days usually. And we can't just stop a guy's development here and like let him be down for 5 days because we're going to give him 2 bullpens to try to figure out his stuff. You can't do that at the major league level. That's much more easily to do at the minor league level, especially when you have a big bullpen like Memphis does. Speaking of replacements, they're probably going to replace Sponson too. So here's some guys. Roycroft, obviously, he's got the sinker back. It's looking better than ever. Andre Granillo's got an ERA around the 1 mark. He's been striking out a ton of guys. Same with O'Brien. The ERA is a little bit higher because he had one blow up appearance right at the start of the season, right after he came off like the injury a little bit during spring training. But besides that, he's been very good. Then so those are the like righties. So I think they want to add a righty. And I don't know. I feel like you have to add a lefty because the lefty ERA is 6.43 is John King's. He's the lowest lefty ERA. Um, Jojo Romero's in the sevens, so you need a lefty. The Cardinals don't have any lefties right now in that AAA bullpen that are ready. I mean, the only guy you have that's a lefty in the bullpen is Odinar Mosqueda, and he's got a 3.0 ERA, but the whip's up at like 1.67 or something like that. So it's not a guy who's gonna be ready for the major leagues. and probably shouldn't get up there. Especially, he'll probably be in the same boat as John King and as Jojo Romero. Um, so some guys that are on the waiver wire that I've seen lately that could maybe come in and fill that lefty role as you got Tristan McKenzie and Jose Suarez. Suarez probably been my first pick. He's been a little bit better this year. The injuries haven't seemed to hinder him nearly as much as they have McKenzie in the past. So that would probably be my pick. Would be to go with Jose Suarez off the Braves waiver wire there and try to fix him. Or all you need really for that lefty is behind. Hopefully they keep Matz in the bullpen more often. You need that lefty Matz in the bullpen like a lot. He's been very good, and yeah. But hopefully, if they could pick up a Suarez or a McKenzie or some type of that could hopefully give them like a 4.45 ERA, that would be wonders for this bullpen. Yeah, so like that's all I got on that topic. They need to bring up one of those three guys, and they need to hopefully get a lefty that's somewhat decent off the waiver wire, probably because you don't have anybody in AAA that would fill that role. Now the depth issues. This is going to a minor league stuff. So I put a post out the other day about maybe taking Kyle Leahy out of the bullpen, as much as that would suck for the bullpen because he's been the best pitcher there. But taking him out of the bullpen and maybe stretching him out as a starter down in AAA like they did Palante last year. And my reasoning behind that was because they have a ton of depth issues right now at AAA. Sam Robertson's down, Quinn Matthews is down, Drew Rom's down, Zach Thompson's down, Gilbert Jerpy's down, and Tank Hens are all down. So if you're following along, that leaves a rotation of Michael McGreevy, who's on the 40 man, should be the first man up in case of injury. But then you have Ian Bedell, who's got an ERA over 7. You got Gordon Graceffa, who's got an ERA almost at 8. You got Alex Cornwell, who's got an ERA north of, it's either 11 or 12. It's somewhere in that area. So he's probably not an option. So you got three guys there that are in the rotation that are probably not going to be an option because of the higher ERA and they just haven't performed very well. And then you get that fifth starter, which we don't even know who it could be. It could be Curtis Taylor. They could be calling up Max Radjic or Takeo Roby maybe from AA to fill that fifth spot, or they could internally fill with one of their long relief pitchers, maybe like Ryan Shree or something. I don't know. But we have major depth issues. That's kind of why I floated the Kyle Leahy experiment out there, is because that allows you to get some depth, which maybe helps. That's going to help you in the long term because you know someone's going to get hurt. This rotation isn't going to stick together for the whole season. Rotations never do. So, yeah. And why I think the Kyle Leahy rotation experiment can work, I kind of explained this on Twitter, but I'll reiterate it here. He's got the fastball. He added the sinker slash two-seamer, which has looked really good. He's got the slider and sweeper combination, which work well off each other. And then he's got the changeup, which is really good against lefties. So he's got a really good lefty pitch. He's got a really good righty pitch. It's a guy who we've seen start and go deep into seasons before. He's got 2 seasons of over 140 pitches and 1 over 120. So it's a guy who has started before, hasn't had success, but he's a different pitcher now. Back when he started, he was just a different pitcher than he is now with his added sweeper and the more usage of the changeup and the sinker slash two seamer. So just a different pitcher that I think could have success as a starter. But what it comes down to Kyle Leahy is, are you prioritizing 2025? Because obviously, if they're trying to not be the worst team in the league this year, Kyle Leahy in your bullpen is a priority, right? But if you're prioritizing 2026 and hopefully trying to get another homegrown starter in there to hopefully save more cost and hopefully go after a bigger pitcher in the future, the Kyle Leahy experiment as starter could be something that could end up working well for the Cardinals. You can never have too many starters. And I know some people have said that there's people in front of him for priority, but as we've seen this year, you would think there would be 5 or 6 or 7 people in front of him, but when you have 7 people on the injured list here just in the last 6 weeks or so, it gets really bad, and the depth goes really quickly. So making Kyle Leahy a reliever, or not a reliever, a rotation piece, that would be really interesting, and I think it's something the Cardinals can explore, certainly, and something that I think they should explore, especially for the future, because we don't know if Sam Robertson, Quinn Matthews, Drew Rom, Zach Thompson, or especially Cooper Jerk or Tank Hens will ever really get healthy enough to be consistent rotation pieces. And Leahy's shown that he can do it, and he's got a new arsenal that I think lends itself well to the starting pitching role. Yeah, so before we get out of here, this is kind of what I expected for my time. It's not going to be very long. But let's just look at some MLB performers. Josh Cross last night, which would have been Tuesday, hit his sixth home run, leading the FSL, the Florida State League. He looks ready. He looks poised. He looks like a guy who probably should be in Peoria or even Springfield at this point. The guy I hope gets the promotion here soon. And along with him, his teammate Travis Honeyman. The guy's almost hitting 500. He's hitting 467 with a 1229 OPS. So the guy's been insane. He's hitting the ball. He's getting on base. Both of those guys should get promotions soon. Not to even mention that Josh Cross had a cycle on Jackie Robinson Day when they played the Threshers up at the Jackie Robinson complex up in Florida. Yeah. Now another group I want to call out here is the double A rotation. It's got a three-headed monster right now, or I'll call it a three-headed monster. Three good pitchers that have shown massive improvement this year: Eshawn Henderson, Bryson Motts, and Takoa Roby. Eshawn Henderson's kind of been the most impressive in my opinion. He's got a 1.76 ERA and 20 Ks, which is second in the Texas League. And then Motts has been really good. It's a guy who struggled the last few years, but he's really found some velocity this year and some the changeup's getting better. He's got a 3.00 ERA and 18 Ks, and Takoa Roby's 1.50 ERA and 14 Ks, but they've been kind of careful with Roby and not making him go as many innings as the previous two, which is why the Ks are down for him. But that's three pitchers that are very good. You got Max Ragic, who's struggled in one appearance, has done decent in two appearances. It's a guy who's been in Double A before, and probably if there's anyone that gets the promotion to AAA here, even if Ragic doesn't have the best ERA, it'd probably be him because I think he's proven that it's time for him to move up to AAA probably. JJ's looked good, obviously after getting off to a slow start. Weatherholt has burst onto the scene and really done well. Had a lot of multi-hit games, a lot of stretches of a lot of hits, and last year he was my player of the week. He had like a 500 average and just looked really good. He hasn't been in the lineup for the last 4 or 5 days. The understanding is that he's dealing with a stomach flu type of deal. So let's hope he gets back and better soon and that it doesn't take too much out of him and doesn't cut his momentum. That he's been doing good. And then one other guy I want to talk about is another Double A middle infielder, Jeremy Rivas. I've been on the Rivas train here for a while. If you've been following me, he did really well down in the Venezuelan Winter League. He hit a lot of home runs. He was very competitive, hitting doubles, hitting the ball hard, and that's translated to Double A. He hit his third home run that already ties his career most for a season in like 12 games. So it's a guy who's done very well this season. There's another guy who I think could be a depth piece in the future. I don't think he's got starting potential, but the depth piece is there for him, and it's a guy who I'm excited to watch because he's already a good defender, and adding a bat that has a little bit of power. He already kind of has some average stuff, but he's been kind of more a singles guy. So adding some power will be this encouraging sign for him. So hopefully you guys enjoy listening to this. If you don't like my voice, then you never have to listen to me again. So yeah.